Peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Bite Down Boxing video. I'm the host of the Bite Down Boxing podcast, the editor in chief over at bitedownboxing.com. Just in between watching the end of the UNC and Auburn game, and before this Duke Tech game that I'm keeping an eye on over here, I just had a chance to watch the first episode of the All Access for Claressa Shields and Christina Hammer. The undisputed middleweight championship fight is headed our way April 13th on Showtime Boxing. You know, I heard, ooh, big block by Zion. I heard there's a quote by Richard Pryor that said that was like back in high school, you know, when they asked people what they wanted to be on like career day or something, nobody ever says that they want to be a critic. And I don't think we hear that too often, that somebody wants to be a critic. But here I am having to get in my critic bag to talk about this All Access. All in all, I like it. Big shout out to Sonya Song on being on them tabbing her to be the narrator. Very good look. Very good look to switch over from what's my man's name? Barry Peppers and Liev Schreiber, who do it sometimes. But huge shout for Sonya Song, who's on Showtime as part of the cast for The Chi, which is on its way back for season number 2, from director and writer-creator Lena Waithe or whatever. But I'm gonna get into about 5 or 6 points on my thoughts on the show. Unfortunately, my only knock would be that this episode is pretty much BTS or behind the scenes stuff from the press conference from a few weeks ago. It shows them basically en route to the press conference, and maybe some moments during the setup of the press conference or after the press conference as the two ladies react to one another. And I was really hoping that we would get to see some of those All Access shots with the fighters, you know, waking up in the morning, or moments of isolation or solitude where they're thinking about different things, or slow motion shots, panning over the scenery. Claressa Shields is working out in Colorado. I believe that's where the USA boxing training goes down. Hammer is in the Alps. I guess they showed some footage from that, but I really want to dig in. I would really like to dig into the backgrounds, the backstories, to dig into the training camp. You know, who are they sparring with? Are they sparring with men? Who's the team behind the women? So hopefully that comes in episode 2. Hopefully. And I think this is an award-winning show, or it's critically acclaimed, All Access is. So I would imagine that they do right by the magnitude of the fight. So that's my only criticism, man. It's like we've already pretty much seen this. I thought it was a good opportunity, and maybe it's too far out to do the backstory stuff. Showtime knows how to work these fights and sell this stuff. I did hear that the tickets were moving a little slow. I see Jaron Ennis is being considered. As he tweeted out or put on Instagram that he was fighting on this card. That would be a major boon for the card. Is it Jermaine Franklin out of Michigan is the heavyweight that's going to be on the card. They just also added a member of the Durrell family, and they're trying to make the event everything that they can. But again, I think right here they dropped the ball on. But like I said, maybe next week is the week where you really run with the backstory. I knew my wife was going to catch me coming home, bringing the food before I could get through this. So let me try to go through this stuff, man. I think one thing that I was looking at that jumps out to me is just the timing. They showed some footage earlier of Layla Ali, and there's a major drop off after Layla retired from the game and left the scene up until now, when we have this resurgence in the women's game, and there was really nobody that bridged that gap. But I think it's great timing, that allows great timing, and the Olympic, the two-time gold medalist. I think that's easy. Those are easy things for or accomplishments, selling points for Claressa Shields to do everything that she's doing. And I salute Salida Promotions for seeing it through and trying to steer it and guide it. Salute Showtime for jumping on board and trying to rock with it. Mark Taffet is out there, adding his understanding and savoir faire with putting together boxing major pay-per-views and whatnot, and steering careers. So all of the right pieces are there, but it's just good timing. Obviously, it's a deeper field of women at the lower weights, and we just find ourselves in a moment when Claressa Shields is able to take care of this. Looking at Hammer, please go check out my prediction or my breakdown of the fight, 3 reasons why Claressa Shields will win this fight. That's over at bitedownboxing.com, as well as also I put it up at womenofboxing.com. But in my opinion, just listening to Hammer, just watching the little bit of footage that I've seen of her, she wants a clean pocket. She doesn't want anything at her feet. She wants a clean pocket. Use that height, that long jab, range. She even said it on the show, if you listen. She wants space. She doesn't want to be, uncomfortable and rushed. And I think that's everything that Shields will try to bring her on fight night, to make her feel the opposite of all of those things. I think that's obvious. That's kind of signature stuff for the European style, if you will. So I'm not hating. Shout out to my man LaTorres Harrison, who regularly checks in on the show and does his own thing on the Conceited Nobodies podcast. I just heard my man's phrase come up: familiarity breeds contempt. He actually just added that as a comment on a video I just did in the last week or so. But familiarity breeds contempt, just speaking to the fact that Hammer has been watching Shields from ringside, watching her closely over the last 3 to 4 fights, and she thinks that she knows, the weaknesses. And she spoke to it on the show that she can catch Claressa coming inside or coming in, and the uppercut will be theirs, etc., etc., etc. The only thing is, as we just learned with Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence Jr., it's a lot easier to say what you're going to do sitting outside observing something and looking at film versus being in the ring with it and actually experiencing the full 360 of what's going on. The one analogy that I made for the Garcia and Spence fight was in the movie Glory, when the one black soldier for the 54th, he was shooting his rifle, and they were all applauding him because he had a pretty good shot. But he was just taking his time, putting the ball in there and the gunpowder, moving at his own pace, and they were laughing and celebrating the last shot. And he was a good shot. He was a dead shot. But then when Matthew Broderick came over and started firing the gun as he was reloading and trying to do everything, the dude's game, his marksmanship completely fell apart. He couldn't even operate under fire. So that's what I'm saying. The same scenario is going to be in play here. How does Hammer stand up to that when she's under fire? Under fire of T-Rex. So that's one more point. The one thing that I like that T-Rex said was she's built differently. And I totally believe that. I think African-American athletes in general, she's coming from Flint. I'm sorry. Like the old joke from I don't know if that was Jamie Foxx or Martin Lawrence, but it was a joke about an African throwing a javelin in the Olympics. Like, he's throwing his spear for the whole tribe to eat. You mean to tell me there's some German or somebody from England who just throwing a javelin to compete in an Olympic event? You here for totally different reasons. And I would agree with Shields. You know, Shields, she's built differently. I think she was talking about getting up from the knock. Oh yeah, she was talking about being knocked down by Hannah Gabriels in the first round back in June of 2018, and Hammer was knocked down by a fighter, and they ruled it as a DQ or something. And Shields was just like, that right there lets me know I'm built differently from her, and I second that. Another thing is I felt like I mentioned this in the article that I was really impressed with how Shields comported herself at the press conference, and you know some of the standing on the playground arguing type energy that we see after a fight in the ring. When we had the press conference, everything was very controlled, everything was measured. And I thought that was a good look for Shields to signify to me that this will just be another day at the business. Like, this isn't really a big fight. This is just taking care of a problem that's been lingering for the last. It's an open item that's been out here for the last 6 to 8 months, and now I'm finally gonna get the chance to close it out, and I'm going to do so on April 13th. That's what I got from the energy that she had at the press conference. I was looking at this pillow right here. Anyway, one thing in Hammer's favor is the size difference. I think she's 5'11", and I believe T-Rex is listed at 5'7", maybe 5'8", maybe. But when they were during the stare down, Hammer does have a significant height advantage, and it would behoove her to, on fight night, to optimize that, the impact of that, and to maintain that. But like I mentioned in my article, which I wrote this a week and a half ago or so, but even Shields said it, you know, she fights with her head, Hammer fights with her head straight up in the air. That's going to be a problem. That doesn't need to be online. It doesn't need to be that stationary. Good luck with that. But like she told her, Shields list. Oh, I just said that. Shields listed a couple of things, flaws in Hammer's game, and said, "Good luck on figuring all that stuff out in 6 weeks or improving all of that stuff." So, along with that size difference, like I said, that'll be one thing, is to make sure that you fight tall smartly. You look at a guy like, if she hasn't, looking at a guy like David Benavidez, how he fights as a taller fighter. I know she doesn't have the same skill set and whatnot, but she would need a performance like that. With some of the things that Benavidez does in the ring, it would be great if she could do any of those things on fight night. Getting to my last point, like I said, Shields is working in Colorado, getting it in at that high altitude, and Hammer is in the Alps. Like I said, hopefully we see some footage of that in the second episode. It is, I don't know if it's a slight to the ladies, not really, because most of the men are getting 2 episodes, I believe now in the post TBE era. I believe we're going from 4 episodes down to 2. I thought it was only 2 for Fury and Wilder. I could be wrong, but it'd be nice to get some footage from that. I thought Showtime would have definitely included some thoughts from some mentioning of the Flint situation with the water crisis that's going on 3 or 4 years now. I definitely thought that would have been hit on, as well as to show us a little bit more of Hammer's background, being that she's been on the world champion level or been in world champion status since like 2011. But it is what it is. So look, man, that's the Bite Down Boxing reaction to the first episode of the All Access Shields versus Hammer. I'm getting excited for the fight. And like I said, it is a little downer that all of this stuff, that all of the footage that we saw today is basically behind the scenes footage from a setting that we're already pretty familiar with. But I'm gonna have some trust in Showtime to get it right and have the best episode a week or so out from fight night. So again, I'm Wood, the Donnie Simpson of boxing talk. Go Google that if you don't know who Donnie Simpson is. But like I said, Bite Down Boxing, we keeping the class in boxing and boxing talk. I'm going to go up here and eat and enjoy the rest of the second half of this Vitek and Duke game. And have fun tomorrow night with that Vosdik and Ngumbu, whatever his name is. We got a local Dayton, Ohio kid on the undercard. Christopher Pearson is is trying to go out there and upset. I believe he's an undefeated fighter, but I'm not gonna mess up his name and whatnot. But we do have some action on ESPN, ESPN Plus tomorrow, so enjoy that. Enjoy the rest of March Madness. Please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, leave a comment. I want all the smoke.